Welcome to topic 1 of the series frequently asked interview questions. In this topic we will take a quick journey of the C programming, and I am Prabhunath. Before embarking into the discussion, let us answer few questions about C program. What is a C program from a programmer's perspective? What do you mean by code? What do you mean by data? What is a standard reference available for you to write a C program? And what are the types of data that a C program will have or that a C code will operate on? How is data represented in the memory? And how is the same data identified within a program? And finally, how will the code operate on the data? Right? What is a C program from a user or a programmer's perspective? At one level of abstraction, it is nothing but code and data. Here you see this function, what this is called a function, and this is what is called code, and whatever the variable what we have declared is called data. This is where I was mentioning in the previous slide, data identified as a variable, or data is identified as a variable within a C program. And here is the C statement where the code is operating on the data. Right? So at one level of abstraction, C program means code and data, or code operating on the data. Right? Next, what is the standard reference available to write C program? Is there some textbook in your mind, or are you looking for some reference? The reference is C11 standard, or formally called as IISc 9899 2011 standard. So what is this? This is like a constitution written by a committee identified by a standard organization. Right? So they come up with the C standard. It is similar to the constitution amended by the legislature, right? And like the citizens abide by the constitution, so does the code will have to abide by the C standard, right? Who is the guardian of the constitution? Obviously it will be the executive. This is all applicable in a democratical setup, right? Yes, I would say it very much applies to the Indian context. So the guardian of the constitution is the executive or a bureaucracy. Same way in the computing world, the compiler will be the guardian of the C standard. The code, once you write, you have to submit it to the compiler to see, to check whether you have followed the guidelines or the semantics provided by the C standard. As a language, you know, it should provide some semantics, be it natural language or programming language, right? Language should provide suitable semantics for expression, right? For example, I will make a statement in English, try to frame a question in English, so you will better understand what is meant by semantics. Abdul Kalam is the 11th President of India. I repeat, Abdul Kalam is the 11th President of India. Can you frame a question so that the answer should be 11? Right? I want you to frame a question in English. At the same time, try to frame the question in your vernacular languages like Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. See whether can you frame the question, or it can be any other foreign languages like Chinese, Japanese, right, Korean, German. So in your own vernacular language, try to frame this question and see whether your vernacular language provides a semantics for expressing this question. At the same time, you try in English also, right? You will see exactly get a feel for what is the semantics that a language should provide to express. Here the expression is I want to frame a question to get the answer 11, right? So in English quite difficult. In Kannada you can say you have a frame called estane. In Telugu you have a frame called ennova, right? In Tamil you have a phrase called ettanavad. So you can try it in your own language. Question 3. What are the types of data that C code operates on? So C code operates basically on real numbers. In the real numbers it will be rational numbers. Again in rational numbers the code finally operates on integers as well as decimal numbers. These decimal numbers are represented as floating point numbers in the computing world or in the C programming context. So will the C code operate on integers from minus infinity to plus infinity? So is it possible? Only person who knows infinity was supposed to be Ramanujam, but not any processor. So now the range of data that a C code can operate again depends on the compiler. So on a 32-bit compiler, a bit of clumsy data you need to bear with this. So if the length of integer is 4 bytes, the range is so much. The length of long is 4 bytes, the range is so much. I think we can have a better look in the next slide. Yes, here you go. So the range of integers that a code can operate depends on the compiler. Here I have on 32-bit compiler the maximum allowable bytes for long and int is 4 bytes. That means a variable of integer can hold value or generate value from this in this range. If it's an unsigned int, again mind you, this unsigned is a type qualifier. The integer can be positive, negative, and here we are qualifying it to be only positive. The range will be 0 to 2 power 32. So if it's a short, then the range, the size is 2 bytes and the range is 2 power 15. And again we qualify that short, I will have only positive numbers and 1 byte, right? Char. We will come to this later, but for now you can see char is nothing but a 1 byte integer, and unsigned char again 1 byte integer 0 to 2 power 8 minus 1. And so on a 64-bit compiler only change is long will have 8 bytes, a fairly big number, and the type is qualified to be unsigned, then it will all represent positive numbers. So again some numbers which you might remember, but what these numbers mean to you. So 2 power 64, 16 million trillion, my god, again bit difficult, but here I think this will make sense. If you want to number, if you want to number all the bytes in a hard disk, right, you buy 1 terabyte hard disk. If you start numbering, you will be numbering up to 1 trillion bytes. That is okay, 1 trillion is about 1 lakh crore bytes. right? So such hard disks you buy 16 million. So that means 1 crore 60 lakh 1 terabyte hard disks you buy and number every byte, right? It can hold, the maximum number can be held in this integer or in this value if it is 2 power 64. Again, what is 2 power 32? It is nothing but 400 crores or 4 billion. In Indian context, it is 400 crores. So the number is 3 times the population of India approximately, and approximately 12 times the population of US. So this number can be held in a variable declared as integer, or 2 power 64 means the highest number can be held in a variable declared as unsigned long in a 64-bit compiler. So if it is 2 power 16, it is 65,000. I mean, this can be easily felt, right? Okay, all these are in a human readable form. When I say integer, the compiler will operate on this big number. That's what is understood, right? Till now what we have understood is, if I say if I declare a variable of int or unsigned int, the program is capable of operating on these big numbers. Next, how to use this? What is possible with these data types? With just unsigned integer, I can generate other numbers for the entire citizens of the country, or in the US context, I can generate SSN numbers, right? Such a huge number. And with long on a 64-bit compiled code, if I use long here, I can generate unique numbers for every living and non-living entity in this world. Such a huge number a variable can hold, right? This is I'm trying to give you a practical perspective of what you can do with your code and data. What type of data can your code operate? Such a huge data it can operate, right? But we superficially end up in writing int n equal to 10, 40, 50 without realizing most of the times the gamut of the data that a code can operate, right? And okay, what is, we are looking at the possibilities. What is not possible? To be context sensitive, yes, if I on the 32-bit compiler, if you write a code to hold a value which is the revenue earned by Bahubali 2 for the outsiders of outside Indian context, it is a cinema produced, right, which has gone beyond 4 billion rupees or 400 crores. So sorry, a code compiled 32-bit compiler cannot hold the value earned by Bahubali 2. Then how the problem can be solved? You can go, the same code has to be compiled on a 64-bit compiler so that this value can be held in a variable, or a small hint for you to go and verify. On the 32-bit compiler we have something called long, which will hold 8-byte data. For the inquisitive students, you can go and verify that, right? Now, comparison of size of data types, right? Again, we have data type long in 32-bit compiler it is 4 bytes, on a 64-bit compiler it is 8 bytes. The rest will be same, right? And surprisingly, the 1 byte integer is called char, right? Most of us would have used this. So char means for you letters, right? So we will go a bit deeper on that. Char, the range will be, okay, if I take unsigned char, the range will be 0 to 255, right? But normally 0 to 127 of the char is also, underline the word, also used to represent ASCII values for its equivalent character in the ASCII character set. Normally char itself sometimes will mislead us or will take away the perception of a normal programmer, right? Just for this, when they introduced char, just for these values which are profoundly used in a C program, they renamed the data type only as char. But when they introduced char, the remaining 127 values, or 128 values were not used because they did not have a character equivalent for those values. Right now we have extended ASCII where even the entire character, all the values in the character type can be represented as some symbol, right? So you need to have some understanding here. And if you say signed char, is there any character which can be represented by negative integers? No. When it is signed char means you are using it as integer. You need to look at two aspects here. Am I using the 1 byte integer as a char or as an integer, right? So if you have this perspective, you will have a clear differentiation between a char and a 1 byte integer, right? This one you should not only see it as char, you should first see it as a 1 byte integer where the value 0 to 127 is also used to represent ASCII values, right? But more it has captured the C program more predominantly because most of the C programs will be operating on characters or strings. Hence it is highly valued, right, as character. 1 byte integer is highly valued as a character because of its prominent use in the C program. And this is for your information. So 2 power 10 is kibibyte, the unit. So kilo is in terms of 10 to the power of something, and when it is 2 power something, they have named it as kibibyte. And all this nomenclature comes from the standard, right, worldwide accepted standard. So till now we can only we have the compilers to operate on this big value, right? Okay, next, how will code operate on data? So there are some operators, or there are a set of operators defined by the C standard for the code to operate. So these are the classification of operators. We have arithmetic operators, we have relational operator, logical operator, increment decrement operator, bitwise operators. So you look at any C program, if ever the C code is there, it will be operating on data using one of these operators, right? So the entire C program will be just to operate on a data, or a C code operating on a data using these operators. So beyond this you cannot do anything with the C, right? And also see here, not all operations can be performed on all data types. Suppose modulus operator, you cannot operate it on a floating point number. All the bitwise operators cannot be operated on floating point numbers. This is a very important chart for your reference. Now if you look at if any problem is there at hand for us to solve, we need to just see what is the best operator you can use to solve the problem. This is what is application of C. Right now we have tried to give the boundary of C program now for you to explore further, right? So what next? is C difficult, or problem solving using C is difficult? Because people have this question, C is difficult, right? We will try to dissect this and see. Will the C program be confined to a single function within a single file, or it can span to multiple functions across multiple files? That also we will see. Will the entire code of a program access the entire data of the program? Will C standard provide some semantics for controlling the access of the data, or is it free will of the code to see entire data, right? All these things we will be seeing in the coming sessions. Till then, take care. Thank you.